Before I came to Vietnam, I was born in the USA. I was born in New York. I was born from a generation where my parents were exposed or were part of the Vietnam conflict with the United States, the American War. My knowledge of Vietnam was just about what American media allowed me to see. So the American War was not a very good experience for a lot of Americans, as it wasn't a very good experience for a lot of Vietnamese. A lot of people died, a lot of people suffered. The only thing we heard about Vietnam was that they killed a lot of Americans. We didn't hear the other end of the story. We never heard that, well, they killed a lot of Americans because the Americans killed a lot of Vietnamese. We didn't know any of this. My name is Mark Ramirez. I am from New York City, USA, and I'm very, very happy to be here. I was fortunate enough to be invited to the Philippines to help some students, music students, young students, on the double bass, on the instrument, on music. When I was there, I happened to run into a man named Olivier Oceanin. Then later, some time had passed by, and I heard that he was starting an orchestra here in Vietnam called the Sun Symphony Orchestra, which belongs to the Sun Group, and that they were going to build a new opera house in Hanoi. At that point of my life, I was looking for a change, and so I asked, well, can I audition for you, and do you need a principal double bass player? I have the experience. I think I can help with the project. Since then, since 2019 or 2018, I think 18, 19. I don't quite remember. Maybe 2018. I've been here ever since. So on March 22nd, the orchestra that I work for, which is the Sun Symphony Orchestra, we presented a concert, Let Her Shine. That was the name of the concert. Yeah. And I think in Vietnam, they really, really appreciate the role of women in society here. It's the only country I know where I celebrate Women's Day twice. I'm just very, very happy that I could play a very small part of this very important concert in Vietnam. So coming to Vietnam, I had been to Asia before, but never to Vietnam. I wasn't scared until I had to cross the street. Then wow, I tell you, ooh, that's an adventure, huh? Especially coming from the West, the traffic is like, it's very unique. I've been to Thailand, Bangkok, I've been to Beijing, I've driven a car in Marrakesh in Morocco, but there's nothing that will replace the experience of trying to cross the street in Vietnam. Walking for me is a little bit like a meditation. It's usually the best time for me to think about the things that I have to do or the things I need to do. And every few meters, I'm seeing something different. Like dancing grannies, meditation, one guy, some people doing some martial arts, some things like this. Then you've got like kids who are like building things with blocks. It's great. It's quite, I'm entertained the whole morning. And I'll usually go to, I have a favorite place I like to go. It's in this little alley run by a very old lady who makes pho ga, bún cha, chao ga. And every time she sees me, she has this very big smile on her face. She's always laughing when I try to speak to her in Vietnamese because my Vietnamese is so bad. And I've been to Phu Quoc. No?
Come in a place and in the morning, heat.
Acid, so it kind of kills everything, but I don't know if you guys are gonna. But I really like this lady because she it reminds me like some family member or something like this. You can see her back she doesn't stand straight. It looks like for many years she's been making bún cha on the barbecue, and her back is completely bent over, and I don't think she can stand straight anymore. And but she feeds me really well, and so she's my go-to place for breakfast. And when COVID came, I got to be closer to the Vietnamese people, because as a foreigner, when COVID first arrived, all the foreigners were asked to leave. So a lot of my foreign colleagues were told, go back to your hometown, go back to your country. And for some reason, I didn't go. I stayed. Luckily, my Vietnamese landlord, my neighbors, they actually had some real food. And so they would, sometimes they would put the food that they made, like a dish of food, in the elevator. And then I would call the elevator in the building. The elevator would come down, the door would open, and boo, I had food. It was great. I grabbed the food. After I finished eating the food, I'd wash it and everything. I'd put it back in the elevator, and they would take the dishes back up to the mom. They were sending me like bananas, like fresh fruit, which, in COVID time, that was better than gold. When you got like a banana, you're just like, wow. And I'm thinking, does she have a banana tree in her apartment because how is she getting all these bananas? And then I would also get like soy. You know, she would make soy, which was really, really nice. And I would get that process, not process, but it's like bologna in English. It's zoi, the meat. It's like in the banana leaf, zo. You know, I was a Westerner living the life in Vietnam. I had a little bit of money in my pocket, and I was enjoying myself and enjoying the hospitality of the Vietnamese. And then when COVID came, I got to understand more about how sincere, how human people from Vietnam are. You know, I was treated so nicely here. I was treated like I was a Vietnamese. For me, is the best part of Vietnam, which is its people. So I went to Sapa. I've been to Sapa a few times. It's one of my favorite places in all of Vietnam. And in 2020, after the first lockdown, I decided, okay, I'm gonna go to Sapa, but not for vacation. I thought I would do something useful. So there was a company that was run by a local, and they were looking for English teachers or English speakers to help. It was called Sapa O Chao. To ask if it would be, to have some volunteers come to Sapa to teach the local guides their tourism English. And luckily for me, when I went there, they were offering room and food. No pay, just room and food. So I would teach them I would teach 8 hours of English, like 3 hours in the morning. Then we would all prepare lunch together, right? Have lunch together. Then another class in the afternoon. And then at night, the night was kind of free, but most of the time, we were just hanging out with the students. There was a lot of them. There were quite a number of students. And after a while, I started to become friends with them. I found them very, very interesting. And they would teach me songs, and I would teach them songs, and we would just exchange ideas, in Sapa it's really cold, and one of the things I like to do during the cold weather is just to sit in front of the fireplace and tell stories or have conversations. And every night I was there. First I thought I was going to stay only 3 weeks, and it wound up being almost 6 months. I just, got to really, really love the people that I was around. And they invited me home to their hometown to meet their parents. I can't even tell you how many weddings I was invited to. I was invited to a lot. I just fell in love with the whole place. I said, wow, this is cool. This is what life was like and maybe should be like. It's just so human. I like being with people. It's just my personality. And sometimes you want to be with people who you're able to share your feelings with, or share your troubles with. And unfortunately, as an expat in Hanoi, it's tough. Many expats here, they only see the people that they work with. Occasionally they'll go out on the weekend and they'll meet people who are like them, teachers normally. I'm not a teacher full time, so in my experience, the people that I normally interact with were the people that I worked with. Luckily now, after about 6 years, I have some other friends. Because of where I worked and with the company that I worked for, I was able to see all the, the Vietnam's best. And that was really, really such a great thing because this country has so many beautiful places to visit. And luckily, I got to see them. So I was already accustomed to a lot of the traditions, especially the bia Hoi drinking tradition that you have in Vietnam, Mot Hai Ba Zo, woo! That was, I think those were my first words that I learned in Vietnamese after come on. So it was like Mot Hai Ba Zo. And so the drinking culture, the food culture, because I love food, I got to do all this. It's one of my favorite places in all of Hanoi. We don't feel like we're in the city. We feel like we're in a very, very special town. Oh. This is Mr. Tang, the goat. Come on. This is my birthday present to me. So 26 kilos of goat right here. One day I was coming back from the office and I wasn't feeling myself. I was feeling very tired. I was, a little bit out of breath. And, I just didn't feel good. I thought I was just maybe exhausted or something from working. And so I went to the hospital to find out what was wrong with me. And the doctors told me, you need an operation. You're suffering through you're having heart failure right now. And I said, what? I said, yeah, your heart right now is working at 30% capacity. That's why you're feeling tired. You have a block. And so I was like, well, I guess I have no choice. I'll do the operation. And so I was in the hospital and I was talking to my colleagues in Vietnamese. I was talking to my colleagues who were Vietnamese. And luckily, some people in my company had an interest in me. I don't know why. They were just very kind with me. And somehow they were alerted about my case, my bosses, big bosses. And they said, Mark, we have a suggestion for you. We want you to talk to another doctor. And the other doctor was I think his name is Dr. Lan Hieu, who is one of the most famous doctors all in Vietnam, not only in Vietnam, but in the world. Luckily, he was friends of one of my bosses. He normally doesn't take foreign patients. And he was able to take my case. And, after careful consideration, I said, okay, I'm going to put my life in your hands. I'm going to trust what the Vietnamese are telling me. All my other friends and family were like, you got to go to one of the foreign hospitals. You got to go to, have a foreign doctor take care of you. You're going to trust your life with, someone from Vietnam. And I was thinking to myself, I said, yeah, I'm going to trust my life. I'm going to trust these people. So they put me in the hospital, and it's a public hospital. And hospitals in Vietnam are not like hospitals in the West. Your culture tells you that one of the strongest ways of recovering is having the the love, the support, the presence of your family when you're going through a difficult period. And in the hospital where I was, there were several patients. I didn't have one of those VIP private rooms. I was in the medical ward with heart patients who needed operations, and there was almost maybe 50 or 60 people sitting in the same room. So Dr. Helen Yu, he finally said, "Okay, it's your turn. Time to go." And they did a procedure called, they put a stent in my heart. So basically, they put a metal tube that they inserted it through my arm, and it comes through here into the heart, and they put a little tube, and when it gets to the place that it's supposed to go, they open it up, and the blood starts to flow again, right? And this procedure, it takes 6 minutes. 6 minutes.
The best of Vietnam
I know that
is
if I didn't have this surgery here in Vietnam, if I had chosen whether, well, let me go back to the US or let me go to Europe and get this procedure done, I know that I would not have received the same care that I got from the Vietnamese people. In Vietnam, the greatest thing that you have here is the quality and the sincerity of the people. You are genuine. You genuinely want to help. I felt this in the hospital. I felt this when I was being taken care of during COVID. I feel this now with the company that I work with. You know, I had a treatment on my heart. And now that I am better, I want to return this debt that I owe. I want to, in any way that I can. Whether it's, through the knowledge that I can share, or if I can inspire some young people in the next generation to try other things, or to believe in themselves, that they can do what they want in their life, and they can reach their dreams, that there is hope. If I can somehow do that, I will begin to repay my debt. And I owe a very, very big debt to the people of Vietnam.